All right, in 3, 2, 1.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to our 8th Raise Green Community Investor Day. My name is Franz Hochstrasser, CEO and co-founder of Raise Green. And I want to wish everybody on the East Coast and further east, good morning, or good afternoon, excuse me, and everybody westward, good morning. The last time that we convened our Investor Day, I mentioned that we were heated, heartened, and hopeful. And with the devastation that is wrought by Ian and other superstorms and floods and fires, and a spike in fossil fuel energy costs driven by ongoing unprovoked Russian war in Ukraine, there's plenty to be heated about still. But we are here to talk about reasons to be heartened and hopeful, and there are lots of those. There has been a tectonic shift in climate finance in the US with the monumental Inflation Reduction Act being signed into law. This will be the single largest investment in climate solutions ever. And research by Climate Tech VC indicates that the tax credits in the bill will actually drive down the costs of climate technologies on average by about 40%, which means that these technologies are more profitable to deploy, and it means that we're on the cusp of an absolutely explosive growth in climate investment. But Credit Suisse, our large bank, has shared research suggesting that this bill actually might spend twice as much as Congress thinks. Many of the provisions in the bill are uncapped, including the electric vehicles and zero carbon electricity, as well as a lot of the tax credits. And so that means that as long as companies keep meeting the terms, the government will award them these credits. And there's no budget or limit written into the law that restricts how much the government can spend. So the widely cited figure of $137 billion of government funding going into climate over the next 10 years is estimated to actually be closer to double that by some of these banks, close to 800 billion. And because, as we know, government spending tends to catalyze private investment, that could send total climate spending in the US across the economy to roughly $1.7 trillion over the next 10 years. So this fundamentally shifts the narrative of climate investing and ESG from one that was focused on risk mitigation to one that is firmly focused on economic opportunity. And that's what Raise Green has been talking about for years. And so, to quote Robinson Meyer from The Atlantic, clean energy is now the safe, smart, government-backed bet for conservative investors. It's a really shocking reversal of the past 40 years, and such a change that it hasn't yet been metabolized by the world of people involved, even in the issue itself, unquote. So today, it is our distinct pleasure at Raise Green to share 5 heroic entrepreneurs and clean energy leaders that are metabolizing that shift and who are ahead of that curve already. These businesses are on the front lines of the energy transition. They're working every day to create economic opportunity and more jobs, as well as drive down carbon pollution. And these leaders are innovating and developing carbon cutting technologies block by block, neighborhood by neighborhood, island by island in some cases, and dollar by dollar, they're opening up access and building community while they do it. So today we're excited to present them and offer you the ability to stand with them and power their work that will power our future and drive us toward a more healthy, just, and sustainable society. So without further ado, the folks you hear from today will not talk about the terms of their investment. You can go and find those on raisegreen.com on the marketplace, but they will tell you what your money will go into, what they're building, and how you can make a difference by investing today. So I will turn it over to our MC for today, Ben DeLynn, who's our marketing director here at Raise Green, and is going to introduce the first company.
Thank you for that welcome and introduction, Franz, and welcome again, everyone. Let's get going. Today, each issuer will share the story of their company, and it's your chance to hear directly from them about how they're tackling the climate crisis head on. First off, some background on what to expect today. Raise Green is a US-based funding portal with offices at Greentown Labs in Boston, Massachusetts, and is registered with the SEC and FINRA to sell private exempt securities. We bring investors and companies together on our marketplace, and we financed well over $5 million in climate solutions since launching in 2020. As the funding portal, we perform due diligence on each of the offerings before they go live. However, we do not provide tax, accounting, legal, or financial advice. We encourage you to review the materials, do your own research, and seek your own counsel before making any investment decision. So today, representatives from our projects will speak for roughly 7 minutes each. Please post any questions you may have to the Q&A module. They'll be answered after each issuer has had a chance to present. If you have a project-specific question that doesn't get covered today, please log into invest.raisegreen.com and ask directly on the forum section of the offering that you're interested in. General investor inquiries can be directed to investors@raisegreen.com. And without any more ado, I'd like to introduce our first presenter today, David Beach of the Connecticut Green Bank.
Thanks, Ben, and thanks everyone at Raise Green for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I'm really happy to be here and share a little bit about our Green Liberty Notes. You can go ahead and click to the next slide. So the Connecticut Green Bank, we were created in 2011. We were actually the nation's very first green bank. And yeah, I know Franz was talking about the Inflation Reduction Act. We're really proud to say that there is now going to be a national green bank with $27 billion to deploy in with the same sort of disciplines that we use here at the Connecticut Green Bank. And we know that that wouldn't have been possible or wouldn't have come to fruition if we hadn't shown that the model works here in Connecticut. So we're really proud of the work we've done. I like to describe our work a little bit as, in the climate space, there are a lot of folks working to innovate technologically. We're seeing new solar panels, new battery storage technologies, new climate-friendly building solutions, all of these great technological innovations. But we actually sit on the other side of things, and when the technology is ready, we are there to help innovate in terms of a financial model, making sure that when we have a technology that works, that private capital is flowing to these technologies quickly and as efficiently as possible. So we like to say we use private sector disciplines to achieve public sector goals. So we're really trying to crowd in that private capital and show the way and show how we can finance these great solutions. We also really care about accessibility. So not only do we want to increase the flow of private capital into the clean energy transition, we also want to make sure that the benefits of the clean energy transition are inclusive and accessible to everyone. And that has really led us to our work to issue these Green Liberty Notes. We in the past have issued what we call Green Liberty Bonds. We have been inspired by the war bonds of the 1940s when over 60% of the US population pitched in to buy war bonds to help us fight this huge threat. Today, we see climate change as that giant existential threat facing our country and the world. And we want to give everyday citizens, especially residents of Connecticut, but we're open to all, an opportunity to invest in the green economy, to invest in this clean energy transition in the fight against climate change. And so that's why we worked with Raise Green to make our investing in the Green Bank more accessible. We're really proud to have really lowered the barrier of entry, and that's why we created our Green Liberty Notes. In creating the Green Liberty Notes, we wanted to provide our investors confidence. First, that they're investing in a green product. And so we went out to Kestrel verifiers who have provided a second party opinion confirming that these Green Liberty Notes can be designated as green bonds and meet those principles. I believe we were the first crowdfunded security to get a green bond designation. That's something we're really proud of. Wanted to give our investors confidence that when you are investing with us, you can be certain that we're going to use it to invest in energy efficiency in Connecticut. The program we support is called the Small Business Energy Advantage Program. And this program offers interest-free loans to small businesses in towns in Connecticut so they can do energy efficiency projects. The great thing is, in addition to being interest-free, these are loans that come first with an upfront incentive to help lower the costs and also can be repaid on customers' utility bills. Both of these things dramatically reduce the barrier of entry to businesses in towns who want to do energy efficiency projects. And so by investing in the Green Liberty Note, you are supporting these loans that are reducing energy costs for our small businesses in Connecticut. We also wanted to provide confidence that you're going to be repaid. I can't go into terms and some of the details. You'll have to read it yourself on greenlibertynotes.com. But we made a strong effort to make sure that we structure these notes in a way that investors can have confidence and can see this investment as something for folks who just have some pennies and money just sitting in a savings account, not really working for them very well, can invest it in something where they have confidence it's green and have confidence they're going to get paid back in full. So with that, I will leave it to others. But thanks again for the opportunity to speak here, and really encourage everyone to go to greenlibertynotes.com. I guess the one other thing I'll mention is because we care about small dollar investors, any investments that come in over our maximum, we're first going to prioritize the small dollar investments. So never fear if you see it looks like the investment might be filled up. Invest your money, because the first investments that are going to be trimmed down are going to be those larger investments, because we really care about offering an opportunity for everyday people to be able to invest, right? We know the wealthy have opportunities. This is an investment for everyday citizens. So be mindful of that when you go to greenlibertynotes.com. And thanks again to Raise Green and everyone here. Really excited.
Thank you, David. We appreciate your mission of democratizing investment and increasing access to energy efficiency. Next up, we have Robert Gurman of Green Island EV. All right, Robert, whenever you're ready.
There we go. Good afternoon. My name is Robert Gurman, and I'm Chief Financial Officer of Green Island EV Corp. And I'm joined today by my colleague, John Gilley, our founder and CEO. Green Island EV is an early stage company founded to manufacture commercial microtransit electric vehicles in Green Island, New York. According to Bloomberg, global sales of commercial electric vans and trucks more than doubled in 2021, and Bloomberg expects the commercial EV sector to reach approximately 1 million in unit sales by 2025. GIE is well positioned given both the New York State push towards school bus electrification, expected ability to sell its today electric school bus model to adjacent microtransit markets, such as shuttle buses for universities, public transit, and corporate campuses. About GIEV. Our C-suite has extensive experience leading high-performance organizations, startups to Fortune 500. Our CEO and CFO are EV thought leaders, talent managers, innovators, strategists, marketers, and brand builders. GIEV projects it will break even with annual deliveries of approximately 1,100 vehicles and deliver significant net cash flow upon achieving peak annual production of approximately 2,500 vehicles. The investment is on the Raise Green crowdfund website, raisegreen.com, and look for the Green Island EV icon. The opportunity. The Inflation Reduction Act, passed recently by Congress, is seen as an extremely positive measure in support of vehicle electrification, with provisions that include $1 billion targeted towards zero-emission clean heavy-duty vehicles, such as school buses and associated infrastructure. Similarly, legislation in New York State conversion of the state's more than 45,000 diesel and gasoline school vehicles, and the state has committed to 100% electric school buses by 2035. New York Governor Hochul recently announced plans to allocate $500 million in the current state budget specifically toward school bus electrification. The impact. GIEV plans to lease a $40 million factory built to our specifications on Green Island, incorporating a $100 million plus investment in state-of-the-art assembly processes, all powered by renewable energy. Service providers, contractors, and academic institutions from Albany and surrounding counties are under review for infrastructure and service partnerships. Green Island EV anticipates creating 200 new good-paying jobs with both professional staff and skilled labor needed once its study is complete. GIEV's competitive advantage. GIEV is an OEM engineered to win New York first by leveraging existing and proven technology to accelerate product development and product market fit requirements. It is led by a team with deep relationships and experience in the field. GIEV will redefine microtransit mobility as a service with customizable and sustainable solutions. And we are driving the execution of unique online digital solutions for transportation assets, products, and services led by e-commerce platform company trucktractortrailer.com. Why invest? Commercial fleet electrification is rapidly evolving into the solution of choice for many fleet operators, accelerated by an unprecedented increase in government incentives and societal demand for sustainable solutions in the wake of the climate crisis. GIEV believes its focus on EVs puts it in one of the most desirable investor segments of the ESG universe. ESG itself is one of the most significant developments for institutional investors in the past decade. GIEV will leverage location, relationships, management experience, and incentives at a time of historic market, government, and public support for commercial EVs. GIEV founders have excellent reputations, track records of success, and deep private-public relationships, all of which will be leveraged to develop a winning EV product and secure profitable sales contracts. Once again, the investment is on the Raise Green crowdfund website, raisegreen.com. Look for the Green Island EV icon. Thank you.
Thank you, Robert. It's clear your team is well poised to meet Governor Hochul's goals of 2035 100% electric school buses. We're excited to have you on the platform.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Scott Ringline of Kilowatts For A Cause.
Hi, everybody. My name is Scott Ringline. I'm the founder and president of Kilowatts For A Cause. Next slide, please, Ben. First, I want to thank everybody for attending. It's not often that we get a platform like this to pitch our proposals. So thanks those that are looking to invest, and more importantly, for Raise Green giving us this platform. If you have not heard the news, solar is now the cheapest source of electricity globally. Yet today in the US, only 4% of our electricity is produced through renewables. And those that are affected even more about this are our low-income households. They have 3 to 10% higher cost because typically they live in very inefficient homes. But more importantly, 60% do not even own the home that they live in. So they rarely have a choice about where they get their power from. The industry that can benefit from solar from the largest impact is commercial and industrial buildings. We have 5.9 million of them in the US, and greater than 70% have absolutely no power being provided by renewable energies. So the challenge was, how do we leverage the adoption of solar energy and do social good? And that was the premise behind Kilowatts For A Cause. We are actually a for-profit organization, but we're a social enterprise creating sustainable change without operating as a charity. And our purpose is to leverage installations of solar on commercial and industrial buildings and sharing the savings with the owner themselves, but more importantly, giving back to the community. Kilowatts for a Cause will design, build, finance, and operate solar systems for commercial industrial building owners. And we will share 100% of the net savings. 5% of it will be given back to the business itself that opts into the program to have it installed. And then 95% of it will be donated to a charity that supports low-income households in the local community where the installation is. Our intent is to not only accelerate solar energy adoption, but also share the savings of renewable energy with those that cannot benefit from it. It allows us to create jobs and provide a local benefit. And more importantly, for commercial and industrial business owners to focus on meeting their ESG goals and participating in social responsibility. Next slide, please, Ben. We're located in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Myself and our Director of Project Development, Steve Payer, we have been working together for a company that I founded back in 2012 called the Energy Alliance Group. And we've been doing these types of projects for the last 10 plus years. But it's not only us that are really supporting this effort. It is the partners and affiliates that we have developed over the past 10 years that bring expertise in the technology, the financing, the tax equity and tax credits that are now available, and the operation and maintenance of these systems for a long term. Next slide, please, Ben. This is something that we're asking help to do. That's where you can assist us. We're looking to use this raise to add additional staff, focus on community awareness of the program, and more importantly, that solar is a choice for everyone and that it can benefit others. Thank you for the time, and I'll turn it back over to Ben.
Thank you, Scott. Great to see the power of a social enterprise and the great work you are all doing.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Joe Reed of Mana Pacific.
Thank you very much, Ben. Well, good morning and good afternoon to all of you. Appreciate the opportunity to present briefly while we're driving down the road here in California. Exactly 3 weeks ago today, the leaders of 14 different Pacific Island nations completed a 2-day meeting at the White House at which they discussed the significant, overwhelming challenge they were facing in their island nations. The islands are challenged already with extremely high energy prices. First slide. Next slide, sorry. You can see the energy prices here. Yet the cost for their fossil fuel-based energy continues to increase almost daily. The devastating effects of climate change on the islands makes the need for island resiliency even more critical. This critical need for resiliency and energy independence has consistently caused the islands to reach out for a solution, sometimes wherever they can find it. At the end of the meeting at the White House, the leaders found just such a solution. That meeting led to the signing of the roadmap for a 21st century U.S. Pacific Island partnership by the leaders of 14 different island nations and the President of the United States. This roadmap outlines a number of key actions with allocated funding to address resiliency and energy independence of the island nations. This fact alone opens up a huge market opportunity, which Mono-Pacific has been pursuing for the last several years. And we are currently at the center of initiatives the United States government is working on right now in the region. One of the members of the Mono-Pacific Board of Directors is Ambassador Frankie Reed, no relation, the prior ambassador to Fiji, Tonga, Kiribati, Tuvalu, and Nauru. She was designated on the 29th of September by President Biden as the first ever envoy to the Pacific Island Forum to implement this roadmap. Now, just 3 years ago, Mono-Pacific was incorporated as a Hawaii Sustainable Business Corporation to accelerate achievement of the specified goals of 21 different Pacific Island countries and territories for resiliency and energy independence. To achieve this, we spent hundreds of hours engaging with all stakeholders, including the island leaders, utilities, government agencies, investors, suppliers, and other developers to create the Moana Pledge. The Moana Pledge is a pledge, of course, a process, and an online platform to benefit people, our planet, and prosperity for the islands, as well as for our shareholders. Next slide, please. This Moana Pledge was independently certified by experts at the Solar Impulse Foundation as a scalable, profitable, and efficient solution to make a significant impact on accelerating climate solutions. The middle slide here shows you a little bit about how it works. We aggregate the demand of the islands for renewable energy solutions through the pledge and a standardized Trans-Pacific Agreement that addresses 13 key tenets important to all of these island nations. These 21 different island nations and territories can then approach the solutions at a large scale as the Blue Pacific Continent. This approach allows them to demand preferred pricing from even the largest suppliers and developers that they would not attract as independent, dispersed, smaller project efforts. The standardized agreement and the lower cost of the project will attract many more investors, offering sometimes much better terms due to the lower project risk. The Moana Pledge marketplace allows the investors and the community to balance risk and collaborate on multiple projects within a given portfolio. Overall, this accelerates the contracting, the execution, and the completion of the projects. Our Mono-Pacific team presented this Moana Pledge approach at the Pacific Island Forum in July of this year. You can see a picture there of John Miller, our founder, presenting at the Pacific Island Forum. One of the nation leaders who has signed the Moana Pledge already spoke at the forum and encouraged all nation leaders to sign the Moana Pledge as the recommended approach to achieve their goals. Our Mono-Pacific team, our Ohana, our family, has the key components to execute this mission with efficient and expeditious success. We have a key relationship with many of the diverse communities in the Pacific Islands who have shared with us and taught us how to shape our efforts and combine those efforts with the passion of our hearts to serve the island nations. We have solutions that include the full range of renewable energy technologies and partners. And we have co-development partners to magnify our own organic team. We also have team members with unique expertise garnered over decades of diverse, pertinent experience to execute these projects and guide our journey to success. Our founder, who first developed the vision and strategic plan, are John Miller and Michelle M.K. Merrigan. M.K. Merrigan, the chairwoman of our board of directors, has global renewable energy experience and is currently the CEO of MK Advisors, a co-development project partner with vast expertise in distributed and remote communities, currently working a number of diverse initiatives, one of which is a broad impact USAID contract. Ambassador Frankie Reed, who I mentioned earlier, one of our board members, who I mentioned, was recently picked to be the first ever U.S. Special Envoy to the Pacific Islands Forum. We also have Catherine Hammock. Catherine is currently on the board of Slipstream and Director of Special Projects with the Green Business Certification, Inc. She was the Assistant Secretary of the Army during the Obama administration for installations, energy, and the environment. John Miller, our president and co-founder, has significant project development experience across the Pacific before founding Monopacific. He's also a former Navy nuclear submariner. And I'm Joe Reed, the CEO, formerly the Managing Director of Mergers and Acquisitions at Canadian Solar, with global project experience, including projects in the US with Recurrent Energy and in Sri Lanka as a part of our Canadian Solar development team. I retired as a career Army officer with command and staff assignments in Korea, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, England, and many other countries, to include, of course, the continental US. So from all of us in the Monopacific Ohana, we invite you to follow us and join our journey to make a true impact across the Pacific Islands. Help us grow, help us recognize the immediate growth in the Pacific Islands, and come join us and follow us. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. It's clear you all have an immense social and environmental impact to the work you are doing. Last but certainly not least, we have Jay Brown of Pressure Corp. And just a reminder to our audience, if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A module at the bottom of the Zoom.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in wherever you may be in the world. My name is Jay Brown, and I am the co-founder of Pressure Corp. And Pressure Corp is an ESG developer who specializes in converting waste pressure into clean energy. And waste pressure is North America's untapped clean energy power resource that will become vital to reducing industrial emissions and achieving our 2030 goals. So waste pressure is found in pipeline networks at hundreds of thousands of pressure letdown stations. And the clean energy resource is created when high pressure gas in pipelines drops for industrial use. The expanding gas creates mechanical energy that can be transformed into clean power. Next slide, please, Ben. So, or Crystal actually is the monitoring it. By transforming waste pressure into clean power, we provide our customers with a tangible ESG solution that has zero impact on their budgets. We deliver our value proposition by developing waste pressure power systems that leverage technology that has been operational for decades, but has not scaled for pipeline applications. Our business model is quite simple. Why do people walk by a penny they see on the street? It is free money, but it's just not worth the effort. Similarly, pipeline owners can't justify the opportunity cost of dedicating the capital and human resources despite positive returns waste pressure can produce. And we're here to turn that penny into a crisp green bill and put it in their hand. And we made it easy. Customers provide the waste pressure, we do everything else. We bring a turnkey system to their site, provide the technical expertise to integrate it, maintain projects for safe and reliable operation, and finance the entire thing. In the end, we give our customers the environmental credits they can point to in their ESG report and cheap power for the operations. And we get paid from the sale of that power. Next slide, please. So the value of waste pressure extends far beyond the clean energy it generates. By upcycling waste pressure, Pressure Corp provides access to carbon credit markets and tangible ESG benefits for our customers. Currently, all the value of waste pressure in North America is discarded because no one has provided the necessary technical, financial, and developer solutions required to unlock its potential. Pressure Corp has solved the market's problem with our unique systems integration approach to project development. So we've developed a waste pressure power generator that is capable of delivering between 125 kilowatts to 5 megawatts in clean energy. And since our technology is commercialized, we're able to provide complete project financing for all our projects, thereby removing all project costs from our customers' balance sheets. Instead of selling technology, we develop ESG solutions. The importance of a well-received annual report for a CEO should not be underestimated. Pressure Corp's value is amplified by our ability to provide CEOs a tangible and actionable ESG solution that they can showcase to their shareholders and lenders. Our customers are industrial facilities, pipeline operators, and owners of gas power plants. Sites that are the best candidates for our solution are locations that have high natural gas or hydrogen feedstock needs, a pressure reduction ratio, and a stable flow of gas. Our waste pressure system is ready to deploy and is fully commercialized. And Pressure Corp will play a significant role in helping companies achieve their 2030 climate commitments as we develop waste pressure at scale. Next slide, please. So Pressure Corp is backed by a very highly experienced team of serial entrepreneurs, engineers, project developers, regulatory experts, and business growth strategists. Our team has been carefully formed to ensure our company has the skills and the entrepreneurial mindset necessary to harness this new power source. Pressure Corp is on the path to achieve its mission to reduce emissions today with projects in development across North America. Waste pressure is North America's newest clean energy resource. If you'd like to join us in establishing this new market and rapidly reducing industrial emissions, please support our mission and our Raise Green campaign. Thank you for your time and your interest in Pressure Corp.
Thank you, Jay. Very, very interesting and innovative solution you all have. With that, we'll begin the Q&A portion of our time today. And we will start off, we have a question in the chat asking all issuers, can you explain what your relationship between your company and project is with Raise Green? Maybe Scott, you'd like to kick this one off.
Sure. So my history with Raise Green goes back quite a ways. I initially came up with a concept for Kilowatts for a Cause back in 2015, and in late 19, early 20, I had the opportunity of meeting the founders of Raise Green and was part of some of their beta testing for the platform. And fast forward to a call with Franz in, I believe it was March of this year, and had the opportunity to be a indication of interest, which we've already been through, and had the opportunity to now go with a live raise. And I'm a big advocate of not only the energy sector and all the opportunities that we have, but also this platform that allows everyday citizens to take part in the significant change that we're undergoing.
Thank you, Scott. Jay, could I ask you to respond next?
Yeah, I'd love to. So our relationship between our project and Raise Green, we're looking to get Raise Green to help us get our first contracts across the finish line. There's a particular contract in the Midwest that we are working on right now. We're actually in the process of handing documents back and forth on that project. The capital that we raise from Raise Green will go directly into working capital for the project. So we are going to have some very large expenditures coming up soon in terms of hardware expenditures, some engineering studies and whatnot. So all the dollars that are invested into Pressure Corp will go straight into the commercialization of the project, which then will immediately generate 20 years worth of returns. We're looking to sign a 20-year power purchase agreement on the project. So we're really excited for the opportunity to allow a bunch of people to actually be involved in the project and not just one large institutional investor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Next, could we have one of the reps from Green Island EV, either John or Robert, speak to this?
Yeah, thanks, Ben. I'll take this, Robert.
Sure.
So we were, Green Island EV, we're going to go out and really pursue and attract strategic investors before we attracted institutional investors. And then we were entertaining going directly to the community. We were getting a lot of feedback from the local community, people wanting to write smaller checks, not $1 million checks. So anywhere from $100 to $10,000. And we really didn't have a way to serve that market. So we went in, I did my research, of course, and looked at the market basket of crowdfunding partners. And quite honestly, we picked Raise Green because we like them. The platforms all kind of operate the same, but at the end of the day, you have to really like and trust and respect who you work with. And we felt that the Raise Green team, Franz, all the way down, and Ben and Tyler and the whole team was just the best fit for us for Green Island. So yeah, we've enjoyed the relationship. We're looking forward to, raising our crowdfunded community-based. We don't like to call it crowdfunding. We like to call it community-based money through this platform. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Very kind words. And Joe, if you'd like to include us on this question, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed what all the rest of the presenters had to say, because a large part of that is the exact same reason that we were attracted. But at the same time, we have in our pipeline signed agreements, one sort of another, already with over 100 megawatts of projects that we have to develop. And this 100 megawatts of solar is combined with battery storage to make, we'll just say, a very good opportunity very near term over the next year or so. And that's with a small team. And when we found out about the opportunity to get the word out with the company like Raise Green, a platform like Raise Green, and at the same time to enable many more people to be a part of our journey while we're trying to grow our team to handle the vast opportunities available, then it just seemed like the right mix. We have our existing 4 agreements on just the Hawaiian Islands, Tonga, and Palau. We have other agreements pending on at least 4 other different island nations. We just need to grow the team to be able to reach out and close those development projects. And at the same time, the support for this cause that we're fighting to make an impact in the Pacific Islands needs the kind of cross-platform publication and marketing that can only come from a company like Raise Green. So thank you, Raise Green, for what you're doing for Mono Pacific.
Thank you, Joe. Very much appreciate the kind response. The next question we have was in the chat and was typed and answered, written by Jay, but I'd like to have that for everyone on the call. The question was, the range of generation Jay mentioned was 125 kilowatts to 5 megawatts. And Jay, if you'd like to expand upon that, that'd be great.
Yeah, so yeah, that is what I said. You are correct. We can build bigger than 5 megawatts. We have yet to find a gas profile that exceeds that. So that's why we say 5 megawatts right now. The 125 kilowatt minimum, that is an economic minimum. That is not a technical minimum. So once you get lower than about 125 kilowatts, the projects really become unfinanceable because you're just not producing enough power to offset the CapEx costs and everything else that goes into everything.
Wonderful. Thank you very much there. Next question we have is for Green Island EV. Someone asked, can you tell us a little bit more about the town of Green Island and what this project will mean for the local workforce? You'd mentioned that a number of jobs will be created, and it sounds like there's some interest in understanding that social and economic impact.
So Ben, you asked about the talent?
Yes, the town of Green Island.
Oh, the town of Green Island. So I think if you go into the Raise Green platform, you look at the Green Island page, you'll have not a deep history of the island, but certainly a high level overview. So I encourage you to do that, or do a Google search on Green Island. And I think the history is part of our brand story. So going back probably in the turn of the century, with the last century, around early 1900s, it was an island that was really uninhabited to a certain degree. People hunted and fished on the island. It's right on the Hudson River, located about 150 miles north of New York City, what I like to call the vortex of the Northeast. If you look at from Boston to Buffalo, Montreal to New York City, Green Island sits directly in the center of that. So it sits right off the 87 freeway. and the I-90 going from Boston to Buffalo. So from a geographic standpoint, it's ideal place to manufacture EVs because we can distribute anywhere in the Northeast on a single charge. And that's really, really important to keep your transportation costs down. The village itself, so going back into history, the village has a deep history in the automotive sector. Henry Ford and Harvey Firestone and Henry Ford's best friend, Thomas Edison, would camp and hunt and fish on the island. And they fell in love with it. Henry Ford so much that he ended up owning about half of the island at some point. And it's about a 3 mile by 4 mile as far as topography and size. So it's not an enormous place, but it's also not small, but he ended up owning about half of it. He first built a hydroelectric plant to generate hydroelectricity off the Hudson. And his consulting on the project was Thomas Edison, who was also building out GE over in Schenectady, which is about 8 miles away from Green Island. So eventually Henry Ford built a factory, the Ford factory on the island, which sat right next to the hydroelectric plant, which is still in existence today. In fact, Green Island Power Authority is the 3rd largest power authority in New York State, behind New York Power Authority, Long Island Power, and Green Island is number 3, although most people don't know that. So from a brand story, from a brand storytelling, we have a lot of history to tap into. Of course, the Ford factory closed down fully in about 1988, but at its peak, it had about 1,000 employees. And when they pulled out in 88, but really in 84, they really started to whittle down their employee base before pulling out completely. It really devastated the area. Green Island only has about 4,000 inhabitants. So you can imagine the Ford factory sitting practically in the center of the village. When they pulled out, it just devastated the village. So this is a big boon for the town. And we have full support from the village. We have full support from Congressman Paul Tonko, Assemblyperson John McDonald, Governor Hochul's been on Green Island. So, and of course, Mayor McNulty, Sean Ward, the entire team from the village is so supportive of what we're doing here. So.
Thank you, John. Fantastic historical context and shows that you all are well suited to bring manufacturing jobs back to Green Island.
Yeah, thank you.
Our next question is for Joe at Mana Pacific. Someone asked, could you speak to the types of clean energy generation that are in the islands that you're deploying? Is there a breakdown between wind, solar, and any ocean-related generation source?
Yeah, thank you, Ben. Great question. First of all, I would say most of our projects are predominantly solar plus storage, but there's even more specific need in the islands to address some of the differences here. A couple of the emerging technologies, even in the solar space, are especially adaptable for these islands. The islands have limited agricultural growth space, so they need something that does not take up all of their flat agricultural land to be able to do solar generation. So we have something that we use called agri-solar, AGRI solar, and it's a solar array that goes over the top and allows you to still grow crops underneath it. In addition to the agri-solar technology, we have some very good experience from a project that I worked in Sri Lanka on floating solar. Floating solar, great for the islands because the islands also have limited fresh drinking water. And to be able to conserve as much water as possible with a floating solar array on top of that body of water, not only conserves the fresh water, but it keeps you from putting that solar array on agriculture land. And at the same time, it makes the species within the lake more survivable as global temperatures start to warm. Out here, I'm currently in California, and out in the West here, we've seen the heat and the drought starting to cause all kinds of challenges with our reservoirs, everything from invasive algae growth, fish dying off, and these floating solar arrays are so beneficial for the water itself that we've actually gotten interest from various states in the southwestern US for this exact same solution there in the hundreds of megawatts project size. But in addition to solar, we obviously have waste to energy because each of these islands has to find a way to dispose of their waste. We have micro hydro and oscillating hydro for the islands that have bays and certain high current areas. These hydro plants are very valuable to augmenting the energy generation. And then, of course, we have access to both onshore and offshore wind. On one of our projects in Maui, we are combining battery storage with wind turbines that have already been built in order to allow those turbines to keep from having to curtail the energy that they produce at peak hours. So our experience, and certainly my experience when I was looking at a number of different technologies globally while at Canadian Solar, gave me an introduction to see a breadth of technologies, evaluate those technologies not only for potential acquisition when I was there, but for the very solution that they provide to their customers. And so I have made agreements with a number of those technology providers to present their solutions in the islands where appropriate. And I hope that helps, Ben.
Thank you, Joe. I think that does answer the question. Our next question is for Kilowatts for a Cause from the chat. They ask, Kilowatts for a Cause, did they correctly hear that your company is for profit but pays 100% of the net savings? Can you explain a bit more of the business model? Also, what is the geographic area you are currently serving, and do you have plans to expand? So if you could go in on the business model and your project geography, Scott, that'd be excellent.
You bet. Thank you for the question. So our cost to develop a system is included in the price. So when we say net savings, that would be the savings that is offered. Typically, it's offered to the off-taker. So for instance, if you own a commercial industrial building and paying 18 cents per kilowatt hour, and we can design, build, finance, and commission a solar energy system that can produce and sell energy back at 14 cents a kilowatt hour, that 4-cent spread becomes the net savings. So our cost and all of our partners' costs to build and operate it are included in that financing. Our first project is actually in the state of Michigan. It's a small system, but it's a great start, a 20 kilowatt system for a school, a very small school in Upper Michigan. And through this project, they will benefit in the range of $30,000 to $50,000 over that 20-year period for the contract. Our market entry is going to be the Michigan market. However, we have had inquiries from many throughout the US about the program and how it can be adopted. And for us to scale, we're able to leverage our existing partners that are spread across the US that are currently building and maintaining solar systems. So we're in addition to what they're doing. Hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you, Scott. Very much appreciated. And for our last question today, if each issuer could just go and maybe speak for 30 seconds on feat or accomplishment they're most proud of so far with their project, that would be wonderful. Just a great show of the progress you all have made to this point. Maybe John, you could start us off, or Robert.
You bet. You bet. Are you saying John Gilly or John Miller?
John Gilly.
All right, thank you. So, you know, when you're building businesses like this, it's always people first. So it's not product, it's not funding, you got to start with the right team. So I think if there's one thing we have done exceptionally well, is Robert and myself and the core team. We've surrounded ourselves with A+ players. Now, of course, we're all waiting to get funded to bring these people on full time, but we have commitments and people that are rolling up their sleeves that are so gung ho about Green Island EV that you would think they are full time. So Robert and I are humbled, honored to have them with us.
Ditto.
Having worked with your team, I can absolutely agree. You have a pretty incredible, enthusiastic group that is supporting the project. Yeah. Maybe next we could have Jay from Pressure Corp.
Wait, can you repeat the question for me?
Yes. Could you describe an accomplishment or feat that you're most proud of your team completing the project?
Right. Yeah. There's lots that we can talk about there, but then also that would be bragging. So I'll find the middle ground. I am Canadian, so I think I'm supposed to be humble and apologize for everything I do. So yeah, our team is a very capable team that really understands the value of efficiency and resource maximizing all resources. I think the thing that I can speak to the most is that, so we've been working on building Pressure Corp for about a year and a half now, roughly. We've done that bootstrapped off the back of everything that we've been able to bring from our own resources, but then also going out and finding capital where you need it. We're funded, into the foreseeable future now, which is fantastic. Takes some of that. But I think what speaks volumes to our team is, with very limited resources, our team has built a $60 million sales pipeline across North America. So we've been able to do that by leveraging our networks, our contacts, our ability to go out and prove value to people and build our way up the chain. Our customers are very large companies. We talk to a lot of people, and we got to make our way all the way up to CEO and board chairs, all the way down to engineers. And we're very capable of doing that. So I think that's the point I'm going to brag about our team. We'll talk to anybody. Happy to talk to you, whoever's on the call as well.
Wonderful. That's an impressive sales pipeline you've built. Congratulations there. We're excited to see what comes to fruition. Next, Joe, I know you and your team have myriad accomplishments, but would love to hear you highlight one for our audience today.
Ben, I could start off by saying what everybody else said, but to be more direct, I'm proud of the team that took the opportunity to come do this passion in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. Came from a number of different places to do it. But the one thing that I think our entire team is most proud of is that our first project win was announced back in January of 21, when the small island of Molokai, that does not want anyone to do any kind of development on their island, chose Mana Pacific as the developer to build their community-based renewable energy project. And for those that are not aware of the history of Molokai, for them to choose us was truly an honor and testament to Mana Pacific attitude. And then in closing, Ben, just a side note to Adam Bennett. Adam, just reach out to me. I saw your question in the chat. I have looked at your website and a similar wave technology solution. Be more than happy to chat with you about that and its applicability for some of the islands we serve. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you, Joe. And Scott, if you'd like to highlight one of your project's accomplishments or your NRG Alliance Group accomplishments, that would be excellent.
Yeah, so I spent most of my career in corporate America, and in 2008, that abruptly ended and literally overnight became an entrepreneur. And as probably everybody on this call knows, we think we have a great idea, but it's you that on the call and our customers are the ones that really kind of give us that confidence in moving forward. I came up with this concept in 2015. It's sat on a bookshelf for 7 years. And just in the last couple of years, we kind of dusted off the dust, went and spoke to a lot of building owners to get the feedback that they would be interested in participating in the program. And then probably the biggest takeaway is when we did our indication of interest. It was the first opportunity for us to really go out to the general public and say, this is who we are, this is what we want to do. What does the investment community think of it? And it was, just an overwhelming response. And it's just been so great and such a confidence boost to get that feedback and to know that you're going to make an impact and there's others behind you to move forward.
Incredible. You guys have had quite the journey. We're glad to have you on the platform. We're excited to see your offer, Phil. We're at the hour, so I'll pass it back to Franz to conclude this Investor Day.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Ben, and thank you to all of our presenters and companies. Folks who are on the line, whether you're an investor or you're thinking about raising money on Raise Green, you heard directly from the leaders in the industry pushing forward to build amazing companies and provide more climate solutions. It's free to create an investor account. Go to raisegreen.com. Invest.raisegreen.com is where you can find all of these offerings, as well as more. And if you're raising capital and you want help, let us know that as well. You've got our contact information. I want to again thank you to Mana Pacific, Pressure Corp, Green Island EV, Kilowatts For A Cause, and the Connecticut Green Bank. And thank you all for your time and effort. Onward and upward.
Thanks,
Have a good
Franz.
day.
Thank you.
Take care.
Well.